In 2021, Etsy generated $13.5 billion in gross merchandise sales. This was a $3.3 billion increase over 2020. 45% of sellers had never sold on any other platform before using Etsy. According to eRank, an Etsy research tool, the top seller, Planner Kate 1, has made over 1.89 million sales since opening their shop. And Caitlin Minimalist comes in second with just over 1.85 million sales. Hello, I'm Kevin Fairbanks, your business growth coach. And in this video series, we're going to help you get your Etsy shop open and start taking home some of that revenue. What is Etsy? Etsy is the global marketplace for unique and creative goods, where more than 34 million people shop for things they can't find anywhere else. Etsy has been around since 2005 and has since become one of the top e-commerce companies. How much does it cost to sell? It's free to open a shop. It does cost 20 cents to list an item for 4 months, and there are some additional fees. However, some of them are optional. There's transactional fees. This is a fee that's charged on every transaction you make. Currently, it is 5% of the transaction. However, as of December 1st, 2022, it will increase to 6.5%. Next, there's advertising and promotion. These are optional fees. However, you may want to consider them to be competitive. They come in the form of Etsy ads and offsite ads. We will dive more into marketing and advertising options in a future episode of Etsy for Beginners. Subscription fee. This is an upgrade fee from the standard store. Currently, the cost is $10 per month, and you gained $3 in listing credits for 15 listings each month, and $5 in advertising credits. Now, you must use these credits during the subscription cycle, otherwise they expire, and credits will not roll over month to month. If you choose to sell in person and opt to take advantage of the partnership with Square, you will incur additional fees per transaction for in-person selling. Payment processing fees. If you opt to collect your payments through Etsy, which is advisable, you will incur payment processing fees. These fees are pretty standard as they would be taking credit cards anywhere through any processing platform, and they will vary based on your location and the location of your bank. Shipping fees. You have the option in certain locations to purchase shipping labels through Etsy, for which there is an additional fee. Regulatory fees. Sellers in certain countries may be charged a regulatory operating fee on each transaction. Pattern fees. Now, don't let the name confuse you. Etsy offers the option to create a website through their pattern tool. This is free for 30 days and then incurs a $15 per month charge. Currency conversion. If your payment is in any currency other than the US dollar, Etsy will charge you a fee for the conversion to your currency. Now, don't let the number of fees scare you off. While it sounds like a lot, these are just normal costs of doing business. Selling on Etsy can be a very profitable venture. Etsy itself remains one of the most popular e-commerce sites in the world, raking in more than 400 million visits as of March 2022. During the fourth quarter of 2021, there were more than 90 million active buyers on Etsy and only 7.5 million active sellers. Want your first 40 listings for free? Visit growwithkevin.com/get/Etsy to open your Etsy store, and Etsy will credit you for your first 40 listings. What to sell on Etsy? In order to sell on Etsy, your items must be handmade, vintage, or craft supplies. Now I know you're thinking, hey, wait a minute. I was looking to do digital prints or sell t-shirts. Yes, you can do that. Let's take a look at each category a little closer. What are handmade items? Handmade items are items that are designed and or created by you, the seller. This includes fully handcrafted items like spun pottery or knitted scarves. It also includes things like enamel pins, t-shirts, coffee mugs that you design and work with a production partner to manufacture. It does not include items that you purchased and are reselling, even if those items were handmade by someone else. Handmade items must be created or designed by you. This is where selling digital prints, wall art, and clothing come into play. And the best part is, you can use the help of a production partner to print and fulfill your orders. Do not worry, we have several video tutorials in this series walking you through using some of the most popular production partners. What are vintage items? Vintage items must be at least 20 years old. Vintage items can include clothing, houseware, electronics, and more. However, if an item is less than 20 years old, it cannot be sold as a vintage item on Etsy. What are craft supplies? Craft supplies on Etsy are tools, ingredients, or materials whose primary purpose is to create an item or throw a special occasion. Craft supplies may be handmade, commercial, or vintage. Party supplies may also be sold as craft supplies. Are there items that are prohibited on Etsy? Even if your products are handmade, vintage, or craft supplies, you may not be able to sell them on Etsy if they are in a prohibited category. Make sure you review and understand Etsy's policies before listing items. Prohibited items may include tobacco, drugs, or drug paraphernalia, weapons, hazardous materials, and other items. Items that use the intellectual property or IP of somebody else, even if you designed or created the item, aren't allowed either. Using the intellectual property of others is where many sellers get themselves into trouble. We will dive more deeply into this in a later video. You must also follow local laws in your area. There may be certain things in your area that cannot be sold or shipped. Creating your Etsy shop. Before you can create your shop, you will need to create an Etsy account. You will use this account to run your shop and buy from other makers on Etsy. If you already have a buyer's account, you can use that existing account. Let's head over to Etsy using the magical link that gives us our first 40 listings for free and create our account. All right, so we are going to open up our link, which is growwithkevin.com/get/Etsy. Now we're going to click this button that says open a shop today. We're going to give it an email address. It's going to want your first name and a password. All right, so the first step's done. It's going to walk you through a couple little questions. Say, let's do this. What brings us to Etsy? They'll help guide us our success. Just starting to sell for the first time ever. You can skip these questions. We're just going to go ahead and go through them so you can see what they are. Is there anything you'd like help with? And this is going to set you up for prompts that they'll give you within the application, as well as guide some email instructions. So we are going to, we're going to say shop naming, marketing to new audiences. You can pick what's appropriate for you. Great. Now it's time for the fun part. Start your shop. So here you need to choose your shop language, which mine is English, your shop country, United States, our shop currency, the US dollar. Save and continue. Now this is where you got to choose your shop name. You want to choose a memorable name that reflects your style. Shop names must meet the following requirements: 4 to 20 characters in length, no spaces or special characters, no profanity, not already in use by an existing Etsy member, and does not infringe on another's intellectual property or trademark. If the shop name you entered is in use, Etsy will suggest other options for a shop name. Don't worry, your shop name will be held while you're going through this process of opening your store. So let's see if Grow with Kevin is available. Woohoo! That name's available. So let's go ahead and continue. Now, you do need to create a first listing when you open your shop. Don't stress too much on this item. It's just a placeholder. We will need this to continue the process of opening the store, and we can always change this listing after the store is opened. So we need to give it some details. So let's go ahead and add a photo. And I don't even know if I have any pictures on this computer. Let's just give it, let's give it a picture of me. Really confuse people, right? Now, if you notice, it said that it's given me this little warning. They want pictures that are at least 2,000 pixels wide. That's okay. This is just our initial listing to get it through opening the store. Like I said, we can go back through and change this later. We need to give it a title, and we will just say Kevin. Who made this item? I did. What is it? A finished product. This is where you kind of choose, is it a supplier, tool, or a finished product? When did you make it? Well, it's not made yet. It's made to order. This is whether you can choose whether it's vintage or was recently made. For stuff that you're getting printed by a print provider, and then it's made to order. Or something that you're hand making that's maybe personalized, again, you're going to want to select made to order. Category, it wants to know what kind of category to put it in. This is where you can kind of just describe the item, like what type of item it is. So we're going to say photo. And you'll see it starts coming up with gifts for couples, color photography, a black and white. We're going to say black and white photography. And you can choose through those categories. Optionally, we can choose the colors that are in the photo. So we're just gonna play around with this one as we're making this listing. We're gonna say the primary color is black and the secondary color is white. If you look, it's black and white. Even though I'm in color, the primary colors are black and white. We could give it a size. Now this comes in handy on certain things. We can give it an orientation. As you can see, these are all optional. Don't stress over all of these settings. We will be going over in detail how to create listings and how to optimize listings for the best search performance in a later video in this series. Is it framed or unframed? We're going to say unframed. Home style. We're going to say, let's pick a good one here. Rustic and primitive. The occasion, well, yeah, this is for a housewarming gift. Now we know a photo of me is not for a housewarming gift. Halloween is our holiday. No, you know what? Let's go with Independence Day. The best room. Let's see. Let's put it in a game room. The living room. An office. What is the subject? Let's see what our choices are here. We are going to do. Oh, let's really see if we can get flagged and say it's a nude. People in portrait. There we go. Do we want this to renew? Automatically means every 4 months it'll renew, and you'll get charged another 20 cents for those listings each time it renews. Or manually, which means when it hits its expiration, it will not renew, and you have to go in and renew it. The type of item, is it a physical item, like something somebody's going to get in the mail? Will this be wall art, or is it a digital item, something that they can download? We're going to say it's digital. We're giving it a photo. And we'll just say this is a photo of me. Now, when you create your actual listing, you'll want to give a more detailed description than that. Remember, that's how you get a buyer to buy the item. Since this is just our placeholder listing that we're using to create our store, we won't need to do that at this time. If we're using a production partner, we could add it here. We're not using a production partner for this. You can set up sections within your shop. Again, we'll get to that in a later video. Same thing with tags, the materials it's made out of. Those are all optional. Like I said, we'll go into more details in a future video when we get into listings and how to optimize them. The price, we're going to make it $1 million. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, it won't let me go. It's 50,000 is the highest. Okay. $50,000. That way nobody buys it. There's only one available. We're able to add a SKU number. If you track your inventory, whatever it may be, you're able to put those type things in there. Do you want it allowed to be personalized? Like if you were printing something, you could have somebody put their name in there, put a message in there, that type of thing that would go on the item. So no, we don't want this to be oh, because I selected made to order, I can't have I'll have to create the file and upload it after the purchase. So usually on digital items, you can upload the file here, but you would have to say when it was made. Back here in this section here, it can't be made to order. So since I selected made to order, it's not allowing me to upload the image, the file that would get automatically sent to the buyer, which is fine because this is just a dumbing listing. You can set your returns and exchange policy, which right now we're just going to leave it default. No returns or exchanges on digital downloads. Now we're going to say save and continue. Again, this is a placeholder listing that allows us to move forward with setting up our shop. You can add more items here if you're ready and you have these items. If not, you can say do it later. For the sake of this video, we're just going to say do it later. And now you get to set up how you want to get paid. So for tax purposes, what kind of seller are you? Are you a business? Are you an individual? Now you may be asking yourself, do you need a business license to sell on Etsy? Etsy does not require any kind of sellers to have a business license to sell. However, you may need one based on your local laws or laws that apply to small businesses selling in your local area. This may require you to seek the advice of a qualified professional who specializes in the legal requirements for your area. So we're going to go ahead and select individual. Now it's going to want me to fill in some information. I'm going to do that off screen and then come back. And then there's a section about getting paid. So I will actually just walk through doing this and blank out my personal information. That way you can see it as I go through. My address. And you do have to provide a phone number for Etsy to be able to get hold of you. And then getting paid, we have to choose where our bank is located, which for me, it's the United States. And then it's asking me to connect with Plaid. Now, Plaid is widely used. If you're not familiar with it, it is a safe interface to your bank. And it will not let me continue without adding my bank. So I'm going to go ahead and add my bank information in here. Which is going to pop up in here. say continue. You can do it where it instantly verifies your bank, or you can enter your routing number and account number, and then it will make some small deposits and you can verify them. So if your bank is set up with Plaid, you can go through and do the bank verification. Now it popped up off screen, and I'm going to leave that off the screen so that I don't have to blank that out too. And I'm just logging into my bank right now. And getting it to verify my account. Yes, text me a security code. Give me 1 second here to verify this. So once it verifies my authentication with my bank, it's going to ask me to verify owner information and my bank account details. Yes, I'm going to allow this. Woohoo, almost done. So now it's asking me which account do I want it to go to. And I will blank that out so that you guys don't see my balances or my account numbers. All right, success. Your bank has been connected to Etsy. Okay, that takes us to the next step, and it's asking, how do we want to get paid? Once per week, once per month, every 2 weeks, every day. We're going to go ahead and say once per week is fine, because this is going to be a dummy store that we use for video purposes anyways. So that's it. Now we're going to go save and continue. And now it wants to set up my billing, but first I've got to go verify my email address. So let me open up my email in another tab. And we got make Etsy mine. I'm not seeing. So I know before that I've had to hit resend confirmation email um, in order to get that email because it never sends the initial one. There we go. All right, confirm your account. I'm going to copy the link and we're just going to open it in a new tab. Paste and go. Boom, we're verified. All right. So set up my billing. This is where I have to give it a card number to set up the billing and have it so that any future payments coming out for Etsy, so any of the fees that they're going to charge would come out of that. So let me get a credit card out. And again, I'm going to blank out my personal information. Bear with me. I'm going to enter the card number. Choose my expiration date. Three-digit code. Name on the card is my name. And again, enter my address. All right, once I have all my billing information in there, just go ahead and say save and continue. Okay, So now it's going to ask you about two-factor authentication. This is a requirement to ensure the safety of your account. So you'll have a couple different options. You can have it send you a text message every time you want to log in, a phone call, or use an authenticator app if you already have one installed on your phone, or you can install one. There's a couple different options. We're just going to go ahead and stay with SMS, so we get a text message. If you want to learn more about two-factor authentication, you can click this little button here or this link here, and you can read all about two-factor authentication. So we're going to say SMS. Yes, my phone number. I just blanked it out. So it wants to test it. I'm going to have it send me a code. And there's the text message. So we enter our code. All right, we hit continue. So now it's going to ask me to save these backup codes. I did blank these out so that you can't see them. So I'm going to say save to the computer, and it's downloading a file that it just saved. And so that's it. Ready to open your shop. This is one last final step. You just got to click this button. It says open your shop. Okay, everything's going into place. They're putting the last pane of code on. Woohoo! Our shop is open for business. Woo! Yes, we did it. Woo! Now don't worry, the shop looks pretty plain at this moment. In a future episode of Etsy for Beginners, we will help you set up your storefront by adding policies, shipping and production information, and branding it as your own. We hope you found value in this episode today and will join us on our next episode of Etsy for Beginners, where we'll take a look at digital products and how you can use the Etsy marketplace for selling them. Make sure you subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you can get notified when we publish new content to help you take your shop to the next level.